Welcome to the Achieve Success Podcast. I'm your host, Nathaniel F. Holmes. Each week, I feature ordinary people who have accomplished great things. Tune in to get inspired and receive tips that'll help you reach your goals in business and life as you strive to become the best version of yourself and achieve success. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. I've got Ms. Demishia Samuels here with us on the Achieve Success Podcast this evening. Hey, Demishia, how are you?
I'm good.
All right. Hey, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Demishia.
First, I want to say thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm so excited to be an early adapter to this awesome podcast that I know is going to be doing wonderful things. Again, I am Demishia Samuels. I am an income stream strategist and a business coach, but more so, I'm an award-winning IT professional, Scrum Master, Six Sigma Green Belt, do my IT thing. But what I do outside of my 9 to 5 is I teach professional women how to take their random side hustles and those random ideas that they have and make them profitable income streams. And so I'm a down South Georgia girl who is a wife, a mother. I just had a newborn a month ago. So she'll be a month on Saturday. So I'm really excited about that. She's my only daughter, and I have 2 sons, and then I have a bonus son. So 3 sons, 1 girl, and she's the youngest. So really excited about that. Let's see, what else about me? I love to talk about money. But not for the reasons people think. I love to talk about money because money impacts everything that I love. And so therefore, I have to be a master of money. So you hear me speak about money often, talk about income and how to build generational wealth, and how to do that without quitting your 9 to 5. So everything, my brand, my personality, and I'm a Zeta. So remember, Zeta Pi Beta Sorority Incorporated, always got a shout out. It's the 100th year to them. And, it's just some I love sports. And what else? I love to shop.
Awesome. Well, that goes hand in hand with being a money strategist, right? You got to know how to strategize them dollars to go shopping.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we've got something in common, a couple things in common. I'm also a proponent of understanding money and how it works and using money to do what you need to do and to be a benefit, not to yourself, but also to others. But I too have 3 boys and my youngest is a girl.
Awesome.
Yeah. My oldest is 21. And then I have a 15-year-old, a soon to be 14-year-old, and my baby's 8. So we have 3 boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I have a 24, 17, 12, and now 1 month. So I started all over again.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. So you said you're a down south girl. So are you actually in the greater Atlanta area, or where are you?
Yes, I live in Metro Atlanta. So I live in Lawrenceville. I went to Georgia Tech. So I'm from Columbus, Georgia. But then when I went off to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, I just stayed in Metro Atlanta. And I used to live right outside of Atlanta, but then you get married. Your husband's house is in the metro suburbs. So now I'm a suburban person for real now. So I'm out here in Lawville and Lawrenceville.
That's awesome. So Lawrenceville, you said, how close is that to Douglasville?
So Douglasville is you could say that's west of Atlanta, and I am northeast.
You're northeast?
Of Atlanta.
So the reason I asked is because I have an aunt that lives in Douglasville, Georgia, and our family reunions are down in Douglasville every 3rd or 4th year or so.
It's not far. I mean, that's considered Metro Atlanta. Everything in Atlanta is an hour away from Atlanta. Atlanta's an hour away from Atlanta. So with traffic.
Atlanta's an hour away from Atlanta.
It is.
Right. That's awesome. So tell us about your childhood, your upbringing.
Oh, sure. So my mom's from Newark, New Jersey, and got kind of sent to the South to calm down, because that's what they did in the 80s when you was wilding out. They sent you to the South to calm down. And so I happened to be born in Fayetteville, North Carolina, but pretty much raised as a military brat. Yeah. Raised as a military.
Fayetteville?
I was only there for a month because I was just born, and my grandmother was in the military, so I was born right there near the Fort.
Fort Bragg.
Yeah, so
my oldest 2 kids, their mom lived in Fayetteville, and her husband was in the army or is in the army, and he was stationed in Fort Bragg for some time. That's why I asked.
Yeah, so I only been there for a short period of time. Then I lived in Jersey, Germany, Texas, Missouri, and then my grandmother retired in Columbus, Georgia. So usually if you just ask me where I'm from, I say Columbus, Georgia, because,
right,
home of the biggest military base. And basically, I was like pretty much a straight A student. I loved TV, watching TV. I love Thursday night sitcoms, right? So that's like that Cosby Show, Different World. Yeah. All the way to LA Law, though, because I love the lifestyle of LA Law. And so that's kind of my, my lifestyle. That's kind of, I was like, I wanted that lifestyle. Little did I know, setting me up for a middle class lifestyle. But that's here nor there right now. And so then I fast forward. I was somebody, like I said, I was a straight A student, but I was probably a little bit too wild. I actually had my first son when I was 15, so I was a teen mom. However, my mom never stopped being my mom. So I had a child, but I still had a curfew. So, my mom never stopped being my mom. She knew I was a smart one. So I still went off, and I was a salutatorian in my class. So I still graduated with honors, awesome. Second in my class. Went off to Georgia Tech and decided I wanted to be an engineer. But then I was like, yeah. So I went and got a marketing degree and just learned to network and do that type of thing. But just growing up, kind of just was the girl who would have the Snoopy snow cone machine on the porch. And after the candy lady went by, I was then started selling the Snoopy snow cones and the stuff out of my easy bake oven. Or I would befriend the school bully and tell her to hold my candy for me while I sold it. I was always just a true, I guess, hustler in this sense. I always say I got a mama named Denise. So I know how much money you need in the bank to get gas, and it's not how much it is in your bank account, right? Or how much you get there. I can get things done. And I took that kind of hustle street mentality, combined it with my formal education, and then went off to corporate America. And that, I pretty much excel in IT just because problem solving is my thing. And I've been doing that since I was a child, just like, because I was in different environments. You got to make new friends. You got to do new things. And I just always been good at doing that. That's pretty much me.
Right. So how did you transition from? You said you went to tech and you went for engineering. Mm-hmm. Is that what you went for? So at some point, I guess you decided engineering was not for you. So did you finish graduate in engineering, or at some point did you switch and decide to go IT?
Oh no, I switched it up. I switched it up fast because let me tell you. Like I said, I graduated at the top of my class, but then I got to tech, and they were talking about, excuse me, you need 8 calculuses and 25 physics. I was like, wait. Where is the class that teach you how to make money? Remember at the beginning of this podcast, I said, I like money. So I thought you went to college to make money. Right. And they was either doctor, lawyer, or engineer. So I chose engineer because I didn't want to be a doctor or lawyer. And I was like, so where you make money at? Right. Oh, you don't. So I just pretty much was like, after I did 2 internships in engineering, I was just like, I'm good. So I actually transferred to get a marketing degree from an actual business school, so Georgia State, which is like right across the street from Georgia Tech. And I got my business degree because I wanted to know how to make money and be in business. But I just kept my Georgia Tech network because I had already I was a charter member of my sorority at Georgia Tech. I was ingrained in NSBE, ASU, and every other organization there. Right. So I pretty much studied there all day, but went to class at Georgia State. And so I still live with techies. My whole alumni base is Georgia Tech, because once you're there, you're alumni. So I did 2 years there and then transferred.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. So why did you decide to go into IT?
Oh, my network. So when I graduated in 2003. Mm-hmm. And so what I realized is I didn't want to go off and do no new internships in marketing or go be a Disney intern or some randomness that was going on in the marketing degrees at the time. And so I tapped into my Georgia Tech network and said, I need a job. And everybody was like, oh, you're mad smart. You're mad analytical. And they had no problem recommending me. So after I got through doing all the random jobs and being a manager at restaurants I didn't want to be managers at, I landed an IT job with the big pink company. And I made sure that I excelled there. So I went and got all the trainings, got my 6 Sigma Green Belt, I'm a Scrum Master, and I just became really good at production and making sure the billing system worked. Right. And to me, it was all just like, putting a puzzle together, because really in corporate, they train you to do everything they want you to do. Right. So there's no problems there because they train you. So it wasn't really hard to transition into IT. Right. I think that's a myth, that you think that you need some type of special skills or something ahead of time. Right. All you need to know is how to read and be, somewhat analytical. They will train you the rest of the way.
Right. And that's a good point. I think that in general in life, I think that applies, that sometimes people are afraid or apprehensive about taking on new endeavors because they feel as though there is some huge list of prerequisites, right. When actually and truly, that's not really the case, because like you put it, they will train you. What they're looking for is someone who is willing and someone who is able to be trained, right? And then we'll train you for anything. And
if you guys would be amazed, no degrees. There's so many people there with no degrees. Like one person that was a director was like, "Oh, I worked at an auto mechanic place, and somebody went to my church knew I needed a job, and now you're a director in the IT field." Right. Especially with women, you will be amazed at how many women think they need all the qualifications when really you only need. Men be like, "I just need 2. I can do 2 things and they'll apply," and women won't. And I'm always like, make sure you apply if you got half the stuff on there, because right. You will be amazed about the people who work in IT that no experience coming in the door related to IT. Everybody ain't coding around here. This ain't the Matrix. That's not how it works in America.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've kind of chronicled for us a little bit of your journey thus far. And I don't want to go too far because it's something that I want to ask. So you said that you were a salutatorian, right? You were a teen mom, but you still managed to be salutatorian of your high school. And then you went on to Georgia Tech. You were there 2 years and you're like, engineering is not really for me. I think I want to do something else. What is it that drove you or caused you to be salutatorian? And then same thing, what is it that drove you or caused you to have the confidence, to have the fearlessness to not only go into engineering, which, as we all probably know, that's not a field for a female or a minority, so 2 strikes, right? But nonetheless, there was something, and, I don't want to tell you the answer, but I want to know what you think it is that you possess or that you had that helped you not only be salutatorian of your high school, just, in addition to you being a teen mom, but then also pushed you into a field that most would probably say, no, you don't belong.
Well, so the first part of that was what pushed me into still being salutatorian is, like I said, when I had my son, I was somebody who was like, I didn't all of a sudden become dumb. Like I was already in a magnet program that was built off science and technology. And I didn't want to, I actually never told people in my high school, I didn't tell the teachers or administration that I had a son. I had him in August. And I went back to school 2 weeks later. And so because I knew in my small kind of town that they tried to send you to alternative schools. And I was like, no, I still have a plan in the path. And as long as my mom is here to support me with that plan in the path, there's nothing that I'm going to let get in my way. Especially now I have somebody else who's here who needs me. And I did not want to be a statistic. I did not want to be a statistic or anybody's, in anybody's government programs. I just did not want that for my life. Right. My mom was a teen mom and so was my grandmother, but they're all college educated. So it wasn't like they didn't know, but I was like, how can I make sure that I keep going? So I had a lot of mentors that they weren't necessarily mentoring me because I was a teen mom. They used to mentor me because I was a leader in my school. So I had a math teacher that taught me stats, and he was the one who introduced engineering to me. I was like president of FBLA, like, I want to do business. Da, 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 da. He was like, well, you ever thought about engineering? I was like, you mean the people who drive the train? And so I was like, who want to be an engineer? Like, that's what I thought engineering was. I was just like, what? He was like, no, there's so much more. And so he introduced me I went to Georgia Tech's MIC program, one summer. And I went to Auburn's like engineering one summer, just to cultivate myself to say like, maybe this is for me. But what it really did was show me that there was so much more out there for me.
Right.
So as far as that, I was just always, from 7th grade, I had a plan to have calculus by 12th grade, and nothing deterred me from that. So I'm just really driven in that manner. And because I feel like I had made this quote unquote, I'm just going to put quote unquote because my son's not a mistake. I just was always very straight and narrow after that. Like I got to focus. I worked in a bank all 4 years of high school as well. Because I applied for a program that was like for minorities to be introduced into business. And I did, again, I was in 9th grade, applied, got pregnant, and still was like, y'all still gonna keep my job. And so they did. Right. I just always had that tenacity in me. Like, all I did was have a baby. I didn't die. Nobody died. Nobody got killed. Calm down. And so I was just always that person. Now, when I went to tech, I thought my mom just wanted me to go and be successful. She didn't like force me to go to Georgia Tech. That was all me. I actually got accepted to Spelman, Georgia Tech. She was like, great college, and you got a scholarship. Right. Wonderful. Now I'm coming to get some of that money for daycare, but nonetheless, wonderful. So in general, I was like, dang, I forced myself into thinking that I wanted to be this Georgia Tech engineer, go to the PWI, do the whole thing. I didn't even know what a PWI versus the HBCU was, but I was like, I went to the best school. And so when I got there and I realized, like, I don't really want to do this, but I still want my money, so I'm going to go get this other degree. My mom was like, well, nobody told you to go to that school. You chose it. So if you choose another school, that's fine with us, as long as in the end, you don't take more than them 4 years, okay? Because you're getting your child back in 4 years, exactly. And, you go with it. So I had a 4-year deadline to get a degree to be able to sustain for me and my son. And so that's exactly what kept me focused and locked in on that.
That's awesome. You've hit on some things that I want to highlight. One of the things that you talked about was that you said you had a plan. You said from 7th grade, you had this plan, or could we say maybe this vision, right? You had this vision of yourself that, hey, this is what I want to be. When it comes to achieving success or being successful, that's probably the number one thing. Without a vision, the people perish. If you don't have a vision, you don't know where you're going. If you don't have a vision, you have nothing to work towards. So for you, you had a vision as early as 7th grade of what it is that you wanted to do. And you kept that vision, and your words were focused. You kept focused on your vision, and you didn't let anything sway you from that. So another key to success is focus. If we want to be successful in life, we have to at some point learn how to plan, how to have a vision, and then also how to focus. Right? Because if you don't focus and if you don't take the action steps necessary, you're not going to get to that goal. And that's why you are where you are now. Another thing that you mentioned was a support system. You said, hey, I had mom, I had grandma, and they were there to assist me however it was necessary for me to continue to keep my focus on my plan. Right? So it's important for us as we're on this journey to success that we cultivate or we build a support system. And all of our support systems look different, right? For some, it may be their spouse. For others, it may be co-workers, or it may be associates, it may be colleagues. For some, it may be parents or other relatives. But no man is an island, no woman is an island, right? You don't get to where you're trying to be without a support system. So
it transforms through your life. The support system will look different at various stages of your life.
Absolutely. And what I like to do is kind of just highlight these things as we're having these conversations, because I want our listeners and our followers to be able to take away from the conversation, some things that, hey, what can I do? Well, what can you do? You can plan. You can have focus. Make sure you have a great support system. And the other thing you talked about, you said that, you said you didn't want to be on assistance. You didn't want to be on government assistance, right? So that also speaks to desire. Like you had a greater desire for yourself and for your family, right? And that desire drove you to press towards this plan or this goal, this vision that you had. So again, for our listeners, just make sure that you guys are taking notes. Make sure you're keeping track of these bombs that are being dropped, because these are jewels that are going to help you achieve success.
And sometimes your vision is an anti-vision, meaning I knew what I didn't want to be. And sometimes I knew what I didn't want to be as well as where I wanted to be. And some people can have dual, and some people can just maybe like, I just know I don't want to be this place. So that can drive you to a bigger vision, or knowing exactly where you want to be. Either which way, you need to have either all the things you don't want to be or everything you do want to be. One or the other. If you can combine both, great, but one or the other has to be there.
Yeah. And that's sometimes just as powerful. What I don't want to be sometimes is just as powerful as what I do want to be.
Correct.
So how did you get to this place where you are? I kind of see you as, kind of like you said, hey, I'm the 9-to-5 IT lady. You go in the suit, you go to the desk, and then, come 5:00, you hit the door, you peace out. And then, you put on your Supergirl cape, and now you're helping people understand money and how to make money work for them. So how did that transition happen, going from engineering to marketing to, corporate America, but I still have this other thing that I feel probably was burning inside of you, like, I've got to do something.
Right. So, of course, hold on. So basically, corporate America drove it out of me. So what happened is success actually bred this. So once I got to IT and I started doing well, and I kept getting promoted and promoted and promoted. But prior to that, one day when I was getting my Six Sigma green belt, my best friend also worked for the same company. She called me and basically was like, girl, we got fired. Like, how did we get fired? I'm not even at work. And she was like, well, we didn't get fired, but everybody in our organization, in the org that we were in, the IT org, we all have to reapply and re-interview for our jobs, because our org was being outsourced. So that's when this word first came up. Outsourced to another company that kind of used to be our contractors. They're about to take over and take our jobs. And so that was the first jolt that I was like, man, this stuff isn't stable, right? So they had a book on my desk called Who Moved My Cheese? And I read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? And I actually took it to heart. And I was like, I'm sitting around thinking it's the only piece of cheese out here. And so lo and behold, I didn't know that I was one of the highest rated HR people, and my job was kind of secure, but I didn't know that. So I interviewed with them. I interviewed everywhere, but I did get retained and promoted. And when that happened, I went from because I had started at the bottom and worked my way up. So I went from being like a specialist, and all of a sudden they're like, you're an analyst. Oh, okay. And that come with extra $20,000. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. You just changed my lifestyle. Then when I became the analyst, and I was happy, but I was like, let me go into network marketing. Let me try to do a little something. And then I got promoted again, and I would be happy, but then I would get scared again. And then I got promoted again and again. And then I became the one of the highest rated. I am the only Black female that holds the position of principal analyst in the billing realm, right? And so when I got to what you would call as much as you can go into production, I was like, wow, these people have changed my lifestyle over and over again through the years. And that's dangerous, meaning my sons now are in their hands and they're twirling them. And I didn't like that feeling, meaning I wasn't in control. And so therefore I started to learn about money and how I could at least balance this without changing my children's lifestyle. So what can I do? I still want them, my second son has never been to public school. He's only been in private school. So I wanted to be like, how is this, how can I manage this thing? And so luckily in IT, you can do this thing called work from home in your pajamas. And you can also just, and what you end up doing is you become so good at your job, it might only take you 4 or 5 hours to do that job, and then the rest of your day you can kind of do other things. I do always have integrity and do what those people paid me to do, because I just believe in that. But I started building time and started thinking what would I want to do and what type of income. So first it was in investments, learning money that way, and then I was like, I want to make sure other women make sure that they're not subject to the same thing. Corporate America have you around here thinking that you safe and stable, and the next thing you know, your whole middle class lifestyle has been snatched away from you. And so I didn't grow up, I didn't dream of middle class. That wasn't what I wasn't like, yeah, I want to be middle class. So, but everything in my life has set me up to just be middle class. And one day I just wanted to break through that ceiling and say, hey, I want to be safe and stable on my own terms, not just theirs. Because at the snap of the finger, outsourcing can happen. Right. And you're gone. And so that's why I believe that corporate America is stable, but not loyal. Yeah. So I needed something that was loyal to me, which could only be myself.
Yeah, and that's that right there is something that I have personal experience with, because I was 17 years in retail, and similar to you, I started off at the bottom and worked my way up through the ranks over time, and twice I found myself in situations where someone else was in control of not just my salary, but the livelihood of my family. And it's not a good feeling, as hard as we may work, and as much integrity as we may have, ultimately, as long as it's not your name on the building, someone else is in control. So the first time it happened to me, 30% of my pay was gone right after I bought my house. Like within 30 days of me buying my first house, lost 30% of my pay. And then it took me 3 years until I could get back to earning the income that I needed to support my family like I needed to. And in those 3 years, we went through foreclosure, we went through repossessions, we went through all of that, because someone else was in control of my financial well-being, right? And then it happened again a second time. After those 3 years, I got another job making the most money I'd ever made in my life. Not that it was a whole lot. Like you said, you ain't doing nothing. You're still middle class.
Out here, still working. Still
working. But, making the most that, I would have ever been making at the time. And I thought, this is great. Life is good. After 3 years, I get called into the office and, we don't think you're developing fast enough. So you can just turn in your keys and leave.
Crazy. Wait, what?
Now, this is the same company that after 4 months with the company, they promoted me and gave me my own store. I was supposed to be in training for a minimum of 6 months, but after 4, I was so good, you gave me my own store.
What happened to that development? How is that not fast? You're just like,
right.
Really?
So,
stable, but not loyal.
So of course that did it to me again. And then this time the second time we actually lost the house. By that time, because I was making more money, we had 2 cars and life was good. So cars got repossessed because didn't have them, didn't still living, basically paycheck to paycheck. You're making money, but you still live paycheck to paycheck. So what ended up happening was that I said, I can't go back to retail. I cannot, because and I work in $1 million operations. I manage $1 million operations, right? So for all of that, for it to just be taken away just like that, I'm making somebody else millions, and at the drop of a dime, I could be gone. Oh. That was not good. So I decided that I needed to do something different. So I said, you know what, let me go ahead and start working on my own business. At that time, I was doing my small business consulting firm, Small Business Solutions, where I help people start their own businesses. However, as well as I do, starting a business is grinding, right? You don't start off making that middle class paycheck. You don't start off making that middle class money, but I still had a family to provide for. So I said, I've got to find something else. So I got into the car business. Car business is totally different because you're truly an entrepreneur if you decide to look at it that way, right? So I'm now able to use my entrepreneur skills that I use for my own businesses, because I still have my consulting business. My wife still has her confections business, so I'm still doing those things, but at the same time, those same skills that I use as an entrepreneur, which I really couldn't apply those in the corporate setting or in the retail setting, I'm applying them now in the car business. And it's absolutely amazing. Just the joy and happiness that I have being able to use all of those skills and talents. Whereas before I wasn't able to. And I'm not in a situation where someone's going to come and say, oh, you're not developing fast enough, because they will have me there. As long as I'm selling cars, I will be there.
Right.
You know? And then of course, obviously it pays the bills and then a little bit more, and it's not to brag, but it's to say that at the end of the day, we need to put ourselves in a position to where we are in control of our destinies, right? And that's what, right now, that's what the car business affords me. Now, ultimately, it's a means to an end, right? It's part of my journey. You know, I think you mentioned that you did some multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
Right.
I did at one time. Yeah, I was into and I still use it. If you have any, just tidbit gem, if you have any W-2 income, network marketing is a great way to write it off, because government like take your taxes. So yeah, I still use those companies to write off a lot of things. But and they were in the inspiration versus motivation that I think we were talking about that offline. They're very motivational. I'm not gonna say inspirational. But they will, so for me, it's like some paid motivation, because they will try to motivate you to do everything. So just apply that to other things.
Yeah, no, it's true. And, I had someone else say, I have another friend who he's an entrepreneur, and he says there's nothing wrong with those, but you have to, with everything in life, you have to see it for what it is and take from it what is going to benefit you. Those things are not designed for the people at the bottom to really succeed. They're designed for the people at the top to really be the ones that profit. However, the people at the bottom can learn some very valuable skills that they can then take and use to build their own organization and to build their own thing, So you have to use those things for what they are, but.
And they're just like corporate America. If you look at the CEOs and all that up there that are at the top, they successfully leaving clues on what they did. And we're at the bottom of corporate America, and they're at the top, the CEOs, CIOs, and all that. It's the same type of concept. You just need to look at whoever, quote unquote, is successful, take whatever habits and successes you can from them and apply to your personal brand and make yourself better. Exactly. How in any way capacity.
Yeah. And that's again why I'm doing this, because I want people to hear these things, right? I don't want someone sitting here thinking they have to go to this job that they hate. I was talking to one of my coworkers today. She said her husband for 17 years worked in a warehouse, and he absolutely hated it. He went to work because it paid the bills, but he absolutely hated it. Well, you probably never heard anyone tell him that, hey, you can do something else. You have the ability, and I was kind of expressing to her, I said, he just needs to be around the right people. I said, it sounds like he's not around the right people. Mm-hmm. He lost that job for 17 years. Now he's going through a depression, right? And it's affected their family life. Like, they're on the outs. And I try to help her understand, because me as a man, like, I get it. I lost my pay. I remember how I felt. I felt inadequate to provide for my family. I said, he's going through a really tough time now. He needs to be around the right people, the right environment, the right support system, like we talked about earlier, that will help him to get out of that funk and to see how the skills and talents he possesses, he can use those to do something else. And again, that's why this forum is here, because we want to share with other people, look, it's okay that you have a 9-to-5, but what you need to be doing is you need to be learning during that 9-to-5, and then taking those success clues, as you said, and applying them to build your own empire.
Exactly. Exactly. And by any means necessary, because at the very least for 17 years, there's other warehouses that might make you happier. At the very least is that. And I hope that people don't, like you just said, the clue in there is don't let a job define your value or your worth.
Exactly.
Because, just you learn so much there. You think about it on your resume, or on your resumes, or, in general, whatever your manager is doing or quote unquote has on there, you're the one actually doing it.
Right.
So let's say, for example, my senior manager or director might have, I manage $1 billion billing system. Well, I analyze and run $1 billion billing system then, because whoever's on it. So at that warehouse where he probably was like managing $10 million worth of inventory, $20 million of inventory, and not even thinking about, they trusted you to be the one to do that. Exactly. And that's where the secret is the people who are doing it. The people who are working in Amazon, the people who are working in corporate, you're the ones that are actually doing it. And you're scared to let the world know, I know how to analyze $1 billion billing system. Right. Period. Now, they won't be bold enough to say things like that, but you need to get to a place to realize, what are you actually doing? Yeah. Right. And when you figure that out, you realize how much power you have there. Even if you're replaceable, at the end of the day, I still did it. Right. Yeah. I still have the capabilities of doing that. And so don't let it be defined by the actual job or your worth at all, because you'll spin it tail around.
Indeed. There's not any one of us that's not replaceable. So you need to understand that. But even if you're replaced, guess what? They cannot take away what you've learned. They cannot take away the skills and the talents you have developed.
Exactly.
So what do you do on a daily basis to ensure success? This is a question that I asked because I truly believe, I read an article today from success.com that talked about the 3 things that all successful people do. It talked about one of them was meditation. It talked about also planning, having a plan for their day. And then also talked about, I forgot what the 3rd thing was, but it's because I read it that I don't remember. If I had listened to it, I would have remembered it. I'm an auditory.
You're a listener. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to listen to it. I have to actually write it.
Yeah. So you got to write it
to remember it.
Yeah. So do you have a success routine? I call it a success routine. Do you have a success routine?
I would say so. Luckily, so one in that is I'm like I said, money drives me in a way that it might not drive other people. So I do have business coaches have business coaches, right, who can keep me accountable. So I pay somebody to keep me accountable to say such activities. But in general, in the mornings, but prior to the newborn, let's be clear about that. Prior to the newborn, right, there was a success routine in here. And so I'm more of if I'm in showers, I'm more of a podcast listener or Audible in the morning, along with affirmations, which I got from network marketing, the affirmation thing. And then I'm more of a, what do I really need to do today? Like, what are the key things that must be done today? Thinking that out. Some people do it at night. I'm more of a morning person. Like when I wake up, like, what ultimately needs to be done today? And then, I do work in corporate. I don't do that for my corporate job because emails will dictate what I need to do today. Right. A manager, a meeting, a deadline will do that. But like I just said, a manager, a deadline, a meeting will do that. If you think about that in your business, that means that I need to be working in my business. So I try to think of what activities will help me work in my business for the day. Meaning, how can I connect with other people, new clients, things of that nature, because nobody's managing you when you're building your own empire. And so I just try to take what happens in corporate, like, okay, I need to check my emails. I need to manage such and such. I need to set up certain meetings. So pretty much that. And then of course I'm a poster on social media. Excuse me. So I'm gonna post some things. And then I wouldn't say I'm a daily planner because that would drive me crazy. I'm a quarterly planner. Okay. And then the tasks are daily. So I have bigger goals quarterly and then task it out. And I'm very much so somebody who tracks my progress. Yeah. So let me say that weekly progress must be tracked. Otherwise, I might not be anywhere near the dang on goal. So just making sure I do that. But I would say that's pretty much it. Lots of affirmations, lots of podcasts and information in the morning just to get positive vibes going. Right. And I love to learn. And then I go through the day and make sure that I know what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, all of those things you said are keys or tips that, I'm finding as a common thread. It's getting your mind right, starting your day in the right frame of mind. So whether it be meditation, I do affirmations as well. I have Spotify, so I have an affirmations playlist that I listen to. So as I'm doing my workout, I'm working out and I'm listening to that. Then when I shower, I'm listening to it. So by the time I'm done with that and I start heading downstairs to my desk, I get to my desk and I switch that. Well, I kind of still leave that playing and I start my sales training. So I do about 15 minutes or so of sales training in the morning. And then I get started with doing my follow-up, trying to get my follow-up done as early as possible so I can get then to prospecting later in the day. I try not to ever just sit.
Come on.
You
You
know,
own it. You own it.
I mean, I'm telling you.
That follow-up and prospecting is everything in a bag of chips right there. That follow-up and prospecting, I'm still like, let me make sure I get it in.
Yeah,
So.
it's key. No matter what you're doing. I mean, the follow-up. Somebody says the money is in the follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up.
Yes.
Fortune
is in the follow-up.
Yeah, and the prospect is where you get the new opportunities from. And in my business, in the automobile industry, it's really funny to me because I look up from my desk and there's guys and girls standing outside. Like, why are you standing around in the parking lot? Like,
I always wonder why car people did that. Like, you just wait for this one car to show up.
I'm like, what are you doing?
They be like, you got help? You been helped? I'm good.
I'm like, what are you doing?
I came to see somebody.
Listen, there's only but so many people that are just going to drive up and be like, hey, sell me a car. It's just, so I find, I truly find that hard for me to do. And so I spend a lot of time at my desk, but when I'm at my desk, I feel like I'm reaching more people because I'm posting on social media. I'm doing a blog post. I'm working on my website. I'm posting a review from a customer. I'm responding to emails. So I feel like I'm doing so much more than just standing idly outside waiting for somebody to come. And then here lately, the last week or so, I've decided now I leave the dealership. So I've created a program, an employee purchase program that I'm taking around to like all the factories and things like that, and trying to get in touch with the HR manager. Because the way that I see it is, why should I sit there and wait for people to come when I can go and establish a relationship with an HR manager that has hundreds of people that work there and tell them if you need a car, you need to call this guy, right? So that's what I've been doing lately because I just can't. One of my goals for this year is to sell 100 cars in 1 month. That's like a world record. And I have that goal because somebody did it. Like somebody has done it. So why can't I do it? Right. So the most I've done is like 26 or 27 in a month. But because I've set that goal, I am now forced to find creative ways to meet that goal. If I didn't set that goal, guess what I'd be doing? Just standing out in the lot looking just like everybody else. But now because I've set that goal, I gotta get it. And I put money on the line. I bet somebody $1,000 that by the end of this year,
one of these months it's gonna be 100.
Yeah, as one of these months, I'm so like, and it's May. I got to get going.
Now, just in general, like when I hear you speak, I'm like, is your next stage to be like a broker instead on your own?
Well, so I have a book that has my dream, my plan. So I have my big company, and then there are different things within that. One of them is to have an automobile dealership, not just an automobile dealership, but the dealership, parts, service, detail, all of that. So
cool.
That's something that I want to do. I want to see my name on the side of a building somewhere. Not for a conceited reason, but if your name is on the side of the building somewhere, you can help a whole lot of people, right?
You sure can.
Me as one person right now, I can help between 20 to 30 families a month, right? 20 or 30 families, help provide them a car. If I own a dealership where I'm at, we're helping almost 400 families a month, right?
Right.
So that's the kind of impact I want to have. I want to be able to help 400 families a month rather than just 30 or 40 families a month. So yes, to answer your question, yes, that's one of my ultimate goals is to own a dealership.
That's great.
But we've got to have those daily success routines though, and that's kind of went off a little bit of a tangent, but those daily success routines, they lead to you hitting those goals. Because if you don't have
Yes.
affirmations, if your mind's not right, guess what? You're not on task to stick with your plan. You're not focused. Then you're not getting to your goals. So it's very important that you start up by saying, "Oh, before the baby," but I guarantee you have a daily. You've got a routine.
You are 100% correct, because it just involves a little bit more. Actually, I became a more stricter planner about my day and time, because I know every 3 hours there's something that I need to go do. I know right now. Plus, I'm using the time off to make sure that I'm able to hit some goals prior to going back. Because that was another awakening. Like I said, promotions, and then me having my daughter knowing, like, man, these people gonna dictate when I gotta come back. How you gonna tell me when I gotta come back? I'll tell you when I gotta come back. That's just not how it works yet. So, but that's another reason why. But it motivates me. Next motivation, locked in, focus. I don't want anybody to tell me when I gotta go back to work.
Yeah. I mean, and it's such a good feeling. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm watching you, like I'm hearing you think, I'm looking at the excitement that you have when you're thinking, you're talking about it. And like, I really just want everyone to, and I'm thinking about it too, as how excited I am just thinking about the things that I have going on. I want everyone to have that feeling, because you really and truly start living at that point, because we are probably excited to wake up every day. Yeah. We're excited because we're ready to take on the day and see what steps we can take to achieving success. And that's the kind of life I want everyone to live. And again, it doesn't look the same for everyone, but when in the morning, you can roll over before your alarm clock goes off, right?
Right.
There's been plenty of days where I was just so anxious for the day, like, my alarm is set for 5 a.m. because I play ball three days a week at 5:30 in the morning. So there's some days where like 4:15, I'm ready. Like I'm ready to go, because I'm ready to attack the day with such excitement and such vigor. And everybody should live their life that way. Like that is the way to live.
Mm-hmm. The journey is very important. And I know success, people think that there's some magical success, but it's really a journey. And you always are creating bigger and better goals for yourself. They don't even have to be bigger, but just goals for yourself along your journey.
Right.
And it's almost like like planning a vacation. Sometimes the planning is more fun than the actual vacation. Same thing with success. The journey to the success and all the hard work. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it is more exciting than actually achieving the goal. You still want the goal. You still want the vacation. But the planning and the journey there is also awesome. And so that's what I believe you're describing when you say ready to wake up every day, that you're living. It's that journey, meaning I know I'm on a journey. I know I'm on a path. I know I'm moving. So I'm living. And so that's exactly what that means.
Yeah. I mean, so we talk about the journey. I've been in the car business. We'll call it 3 years. And the place I am now is a pretty big dealership. And I never thought that I could be employee of the month there. Not because I didn't think I was able, it's just the thought never crossed my mind that I could be the salesman of the month, because I'm like, I'm just me. But this crazy thing happened back in December. I got sent, you know who Grant Cardone is?
Yeah, everybody know Grant. Sales person of the year.
Right. So I got sent to spend 2 days with Grant Cardone.
Wow.
Yeah. In Miami, Florida, at Tennis headquarters in December. And when I came back, talk about somebody being on fire.
Yeah, I was about to say you was on fire right there. That's
girl. It was like revival. Yeah, it was like revival. Let me tell you, I came back like I had been to the tent revival.
Right.
You know, so I came back on fire. In that December, I almost got Employee of the Month. Not even with that as a goal, like, because it's never been a goal for me. But then everybody kept talking about, oh, are you going to get it? Are you going to beat him? Are you going to get it? And I'm just looking at him like, I really don't care about that. Like, I'm just doing me.
Numbers is going up.
You know, but like, it was crazy. Like, I was so close, and I think I ended up missing it by like one car deal or half a car deal. Then January comes, and I'm just doing me again. And here we are, like, we neck and neck. Me and this guy who was the whole year last year, he was Employee of the Month or Salesperson of the Month, neck and neck. And then, you know, everybody's like, hey, are you going to get him this month? We want you to get him this month. And I'm like, not really thinking about it. And again, missed it by half a car deal this time. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get it next month. Don't you know? Next month came, bam, 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 bam. Crushed it.
In a short month.
But let me tell you what was amazing. It wasn't getting the glass trophy like I imagined. It was not. It was not, because I was like, I thought it was going to be, I got the trophy like the middle of March, not even like at the beginning of March. So it was like every day I was like, where's my trophy? Where's my trophy? And then when I finally got it, I was like, man.
But you had fun getting it. You had fun getting it.
Yes. It was exciting every day coming in to see, okay, how many deals am I going to get today? There was one day when I got like 3 deals in the same day. It's called a hat trick. I got a hat trick. Then the next day I got another hat trick. And it was just like deals were coming left and right.
Oh, wow. You need 30 days of hat tricks to get to 100.
Girl, let me tell you.
I just did that quick math. I see that money math right there for you. Right there. I was like, oh, you need 30 days of hat tricks.
But with this employee purchase program that I'm putting in place around my city and neighboring cities, that's how I'm setting myself up to do that, right?
Okay.
And they don't know. Yeah. I'm working on something, you know. But yeah, so it was, the excitement wasn't in getting the trophy, wasn't in getting the glass. The excitement was in the process to get there, you know. So that's where we talk about the journey, the waking up every day excited. That's where it comes from.
Yes.
So if you could go back in time, we can all go back in time. And I know you're a spring chicken and everything, but if you could go back in time and give some advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Probably would tell myself that the $10 mutual funds was okay. Like, go ahead and invest the $10 mutual funds at a time, and that enjoy my journey. Like, it'll all be okay. Like, I used to be high strung sometimes. I think anxiety driven, not as fun. But then in college, but my younger teen self, I would tell myself it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to be fine. In my 20s, I probably will focus on, you need to learn how to discern difference a little bit faster than you do in people. Because your network matters and people you're around matters, your environment matters. And sometimes things that were spiraling out of control was because I had myself in the wrong environment. Right. Not necessarily some crazy whatever environment, but just not a positive structured environment. Right. And so I would definitely tell myself that. Always keep yourself around positive people and a positive environment. And whether that means being outside your house, reading a book, doing whatever is need be, but always keep myself in a positive environment, and it will take myself further. And then I think lastly, I would tell myself that the network marketers, because I was really into it from like teens through my like early 20s, I would tell myself for that portion of the show that you're going to learn how to accept the word no and keep going. Right. No is okay. When they tell you it's going to be 100 no's or 1,000 no's, yeah, there will be. But those will set you up for success in your own empire. Because when people tell me no, that just means it's time for me to go find another way. And so, that's pretty what I tell myself when I was younger, that no is awesome. Now I know not what to ask. I need to ask it a different way.
Right. And I think that is so huge, is being okay with that word no, because
not personal.
At an early age, we're introduced to that word, and it's such a strong word at an early age, and we grow older, and it remains strong. That word no.
Yeah.
But that's a great point that you make in terms of you have to be okay with the no.
Yeah. All no's are not personal.
Right. Absolutely.
They're not personal. Some no's have nothing to do with you. It's just not the right time or the right place.
Exactly.
Nothing to do with you.
And you can probably imagine what I deal with in my industry in terms of no, because I used to take it personal when I first started, but now I understand that, we have this thing where we say, is it me? Is it the car? Or is it the money? I know it's never me. Like that's never going to be a problem. If it's the car, there might be something I can do about that. But if it's the money,
it's what it is. Side out today on a running car.
It is what it is. Like I ain't giving you no money.
Right.
I ain't co-signing with you. So
and even in relationships and friends and personal and business, sometimes it's not always about you. The no is not for you. It's not. When I say no to people, it's usually not because of them. It's because of what's going on with me. So if you think about when you say no, it's usually not because it's the person. Like 1% of it is usually like 1%. Like, no, I'm just not giving you my money because you were rude or something like that. But in general, it's never usually about the person.
That's a great point. That's so true, though. Most of the time, when someone tells you no, they're not telling you no. It's something with something with them. So don't take it personal.
Nah.
You just have to, like we say, you have to fact find and try to figure out why is it that they're saying no, and see if you can overcome that.
Right.
If you can't, you can't, and you just have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
But that's a great point, is don't take that no personal. It's not about you. It's something within them or about them that it just doesn't sit with them.
Right.
And that's fine. That's okay.
Especially when you do your A game. You're like, I done gave you every possible chance. I done overcame every objection that you have. And if the answer's still no, then it is what it is. Right. They'll probably circle back to you when it's time for the yes.
Yes.
They'll come back to you because you did everything correct. And so sometimes your no's are just future yeses, and sometimes they're not. And what's not for but what's for you is for you, and it will come back to you. No worries.
I hope y'all wrote that down. Sometimes your no's are your future yeses. That's a key. Absolutely. Because it's happened to me. They said no today.
Your business, I'm sure. Yeah.
They said no today, but then in 2 or 3 days,
hey, you know checks hit and they come and calling you up like, hey man.
Yeah, we've been thinking about it, and we think we'll go ahead and
get it.
Yeah.
Right. You remember. Yeah, that no worries. I did everything right. When it's time, they're gonna come back.
Yeah. And you have, but really and truly, you have to have done everything right to that point.
Right, exactly.
And it kind of talks for me. It's the importance of that is processes and procedures, right? You have processes that lead people through these situations, or that lead you through these situations. And if you don't follow the process, then you may not get that opportunity for that no to turn into a yes. However, if you follow your process and you're true to your process, they may say no now, but because you follow your process, that no definitely has a better possibility of turning into a yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. What would you say has been your biggest challenge to achieving the amount of success that you've had, not only in the corporate environment, but also in the entrepreneur environment? What would you say has been your biggest challenge?
I would say getting over what they call imposter syndrome was one of my biggest challenges. And so this is where you believe that you're not talented enough in the entrepreneurial space, imposter syndrome. Like you're not talented enough, or you don't have enough success or enough clients that have achieved all of this in order to be the authority or the expert that you know you are. So just getting over that and making sure that I know that I put in the work, I have the process, I built the system myself, and I went through the system, so I know that my system works for people. From a corporate standpoint, one of my biggest challenges, kind of similar to imposter syndrome, was getting over the fact that I used to let people call me D. So I used to let people call me D because I didn't want to be deemed as ghetto, right? And so call me D, call me D, call me D. But like I told you, I work in IT, and I work with a lot of people who are from other countries. And in particular, a lot of people are from India. And I noticed there was a girl named Demishia. And I noticed everybody could just say her name. And I was just like, if you can say Degisha, then you can say Demishia. Right. So therefore, I stopped letting people call me D, and I walked in my authority and said, no, my name is Demishia. Like, if you summon me to this call, you ask for Demishia to join this bridge to solve your issue, you're going to call me by my full name. So just taking control and power of that was very important for me, because I used to think like, oh my God, I don't want to be hood. I used to put D. At the time when I wasn't married, D right on my resume. I wouldn't put my full name. And so just getting over that and owning myself was one of the biggest challenges I had to do, because I thought, oh my gosh, Demishia, and you're a teen mom and such, oh my goodness. But I thought about it was like, no, Demishia, and I'm a teen mom, and I'm your, and you work for me, and you report to me. Right. So what is that? I just doesn't say anything about me. That says everything about whatever you think. And so just getting over that was really challenging for me. But in my 20s, I kind of mastered it in my 30s. So
that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. You're gonna call me by my name.
Yes.
But there's something powerful in that, though. It's like you said, it's kind of like a confidence that has come along, that like you say, you're not shameful, you're not ashamed. No, I am who I am, and I have earned this, and therefore you will.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Because in the 80s and 90s, Demishia and Demishas, and then all of a sudden now it's, oh, that's so pretty,
right?
Oh, that's so unique. Oh my goodness. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. As long as you say it, all 4 syllables, get it out your mouth, be good. Especially if you call me to a call. Somebody, and I will stop the call. And somebody like, no, Demishia. Oh, that's what I said. No, that's not what you said. I'm that person on the call. Like, that's not what you said.
No, but it speaks, though, to a mindset. It speaks to a strength of character. It speaks to a certain mindset of power. And it really is important. Again, this forum is about helping people to achieve success. And I mean, you are dropping some serious jewels, and I hope people are really listening and understanding. No, you're going to call me by my name because I have earned this. And it's not about earning the name, but it's about understanding the fullness of who I am and what it is I'm here to do, what it is I am empowered to do. No, we're not going to shorten it. I am not less than anyone else. You call somebody else by their full name, you're going to call me by my full name.
Exactly. Just walking in your authority.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Now, if I love the name D, it wasn't even that I didn't like D. Like, I can, where you are in my life, I can tell if you call me D and you went to college with me. If you call me Misha, you're from my family. Right. But at work, I was like, Demishia, like it's not hard. You guys are all quote unquote educated. Let's let it out. And so walking in that authority. But at the time when I first got to corporate, I used to just want to shrink a little bit and just didn't want to be deemed as non-corporate. So I'm like, just call me D. It's okay. You don't have to pronounce it. Now I'm like, if you wanted me, you wanted my expertise on this bridge, on this call, in this meeting, in this position. So now you will call me by my full name, and I will, or I just don't hear you. I just be like, did somebody? I didn't say anything. You didn't want me, did you? Because you didn't call me.
Listen, I didn't even realize it, but that is the reason why I don't like people to call me anything other than Nathaniel at work.
Right.
I do not like it because we're not friends. We're not buddies. We're not on the court. Right.
It's the business setting.
Right. When I'm playing ball, it's okay. Everybody calls me Nate. Like, it's cool.
Right.
But no, when I am here in my professional capacity,
where the government needs my government name, where the government take my IRS money, call me by my government name. IRS call me Demishia, so you can too. Okay.
And I never, not until you just expressed it that way, because as you were talking about it, like, I remember like here lately, some of the managers have started just calling me Nate. They'll write my name on the board and say Nate, when before it was Nathaniel, right? So there's one manager that will, two of them that will do that will say Nate, because I guess they feel we're like cool. But then there's one that will not. He always uses, and it's funny because he and I, the relationship that we have is not like we friends, we boys. Like I hardly ever go to him to work a deal for me anyway.
Right.
So there's a certain level
of comfort people have with you.
Right.
And you can hear it. Now when you hear what people call you, you know their comfort level with you. Right. And if you're not comfortable with them having that comfort level with you, then that's when you do it. So like one of my managers at work, who she's kind of been my mentor, she calls me D. She was the first one at the hospital on a child, trying to be there. She's always there. So her calling me D, no problem. But when she's on a call with me and we're all there together, she'll still call me Demishia. Right. Because she wants those other people to know you will call her by her name. Right. She won't shorten my name in the presence of them. So she'll still, give me that. So as long as they're giving you Nathaniel when the customer's there or whatever.
That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens because, if it's me and him at the desk at the sales tower, he might say that, but when he comes to introduce himself to my guest that I've just brought to my desk, hey, how's Nathaniel taking care of you?
Exactly.
So he understands that, but the other manager that does it, he's a newer manager to the team, and he's still trying to find his ways sort of, and he's actually been moved from one position to another already. Right. So he's kind of just
right. He just don't know how to manage it.
Right. Exactly.
You probably got to train him.
Yeah, it's crazy that you said that because there was a point in time when in my professional career in retail where you're gonna that's it. You only address me as Nathaniel because that's who I am. And then when I became a store manager,
sure, you gotta nip it in the bud. Call me by my whole name.
Yeah.
People get comfortable with you and people just don't realize it, usually through a name. So I know some of the cultures enjoy that. Like, hey, your name, this is some of them will have a hissy fit if you call them by their full names. But hey, listen, that's not how it rolls over here. So, those royals that want to be called Bill, I have no problem with that. But for me, this is what you're gonna do.
Yeah. And it's a subtle thing, but it's just really amazing when you start having a conversation with someone. It never really dawned on me why, literally, I have a feeling about it. If somebody says that, I almost cringe when I hear them say it.
You to call me that.
Yeah,
you would tell you to call me Nate.
Yeah, we're not cool like that.
We're not cool.
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the reason why. The reason
and it's
why.
A small way. It's a small way that your audience can take back their authority. So if you're in a work setting and you've gotten too comfortable, like my call center people, anybody, and or if you desire to move up in a company, begin to ask people to call you by your full name, no matter what it is. And you will see that gradual switch will let them know that you're professional and you're here to do work. You're here to do business, because names are everything with some people, and they don't even, because it's subconscious. And so that's one little small change that you can do in your daily life if you want to become a leader or walk in some type of authority, is to make people call you by your name, not to be, because historically, some people name themselves stuff like sergeant or I think colonel. You hear some old people it was because names meant something, and they knew if they named their children certain things, they would garner the respect. So that's still in play, and now it's from the not as bluntly, but it's still in play, and it's still a subconscious thing that we do.
Yeah, no, I think definitely I was very thoughtful when I was naming my kids. More so about the meaning of the name than say just the name. So I didn't want just a name. So I was very thoughtful about it. And my wife wanted our youngest boy to be a junior, and I didn't want that. So I searched hard to find a name that meant the same as mine. In Arabic, his middle name is Inam. and it means the same thing that Nathaniel does in Hebrew.
Oh, cool.
It means gift of God or given of God. But his first name is Salim, and Salim means good health. So my thought was I wanted to have a healthy child. I wanted him to have good health. In general, I wanted him to have a life of good health. So
Right.
that's why I chose his first name. And, little did I know we would have, the environment that we have now politically, but nonetheless, it still doesn't change what his name means.
Correct.
And both
I want to go into IT because there's there's plenty of everything in IT. So when in doubt, go into IT. Everything is foreign. Nothing's really that American in IT. They don't have the same beliefs over there in IT land. So he's good.
Yeah. So both his first name and his middle name are Arabic, and people always ask me, "Are you Muslim?" No, I'm not. I'm not Muslim. I just, I wanted him to be different and be purposeful about it. But I think too, that's a small part of success. I think is embracing who you are, knowing who you are, embracing who you are, and finding that. A lot of people talk about people who are successful. They're successful because they have found that skill, trait, characteristic that is natural to them. Mm-hmm. And they have then been able to use it in service to others. And by using that natural skill in service to others, they were then rewarded for that service. And it turns out oftentimes to be a great thing when you find something that you love to do and you can provide a service to other people, then you'll be rewarded for it.
Yeah, very true.
So there's a couple more questions, but you have been, first of all, I want to say you've been absolutely amazing. I feel like we could go on for another 30 minutes, but
I'll bring you on my podcast and we can continue it on its time.
That would be great. But I know you've got a little one to tend to. So I want to ask you one last question. We've talked about the journey. We've talked about success being a journey and the pleasure being in the journey. That's where the happiness is. I've found that in that journey, we often find the best version of ourselves, right? As we press towards this goal, how has your success helped you to become the best version of yourself?
I think it taught me to trust myself. And so when you trust yourself in all things that you do, then you're not necessarily as worrisome. So I trust that I'm going to make the right decisions because of my success, of my track record. I trust that tomorrow the sun is going to come out, that I'm going to do better, be better. I always say now that I just want to be incrementally better than I was the day before, and I know all things will work out great. So to me, my success has taught me to trust myself, and that relying on myself is completely okay. Like, not that I don't have a support system, but trust that Demishia will get it done. Look at your track record. Look where you come from.
Right.
Why are you worried? So I think that success in your journey, when you look back, you're not supposed to look back sometimes, but when you look back on everything you've done,
right,
you're like, man, if I can get through all of this, all these challenges, all these things, then whatever is ahead of me, I'm good, because I know that my past has prepared me for it. Right. So I'm no longer afraid to step into my journey. So that's what success can do for you. It can make you confident to keep walking in your journey. And that's what it's done for me.
Yeah. And that's so important. I mean, there's nothing like that confidence that you get. And when we look back, and we probably don't do it enough, maybe in our meditation, we need to do that. We need to have that reflection of look where you have come from. Look at the things you have accomplished, and I promise you, every one of us, no matter how insignificant we might feel sometimes, you can look back and find some great accomplishments in your life.
Yes.
You can look back and find some things that you are absolutely proud of. And I encourage, our listeners and our followers to do that. Take some time, some quiet time, and look back at, if it's nothing more than, where were you last year?
Right.
Look at where you
Right.
are now. What have you accomplished? What goals have you met? And use those things as those confidence builders to press forward and move forward to the next goal in your life. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our podcast. Make sure to connect with us on all of our platforms. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can also listen to the podcast on anchor.fm. Best of all, make sure to check out the website at achievesuccesspodcast.com.